Hello everyone, long time no see. BeardedSnowlYGO here, and by popular demand, I have my post September 2nd ban list FLOOWANDEREEZE deck profile. I was a little hesitant to upload this just because the main deck hasn't changed too much, and we knew that a ban list was around the corner, but we have it, so here it is. To start off, I have, again, the main deck hasn't changed all that much, but for the Flu core, we have, as always, 3 Robina, 3 Eaglin. I have 1 Toucan, 1 Stree. That's it for the little birds. For the big birds, I have 2 Empen. I have an Apex Avion. Mind the glare, I apologize. And a Ryza Mega Monarch. This is pretty much the simple bread and butter monsters for most Flu decks. Some people run 2 Stree, some people run 2 Toucan, but I think this is just fine. Next up, we have the FLOOWANDEREEZE spells. We have the 3 maps, as always, and the 4th map, because, well, this is legal, why not play it? 4 maps are always better than 3. We have the Quick Play. We have Unexplored Winds. And, of course, our Trap, so we guarantee that we play on our opponent's turn. And that is it for the Flu core. Again, nothing has really changed there, and probably won't for a long time. The first card that I thought was going to get hit on the ban list, so I was going to have a joke originally in here, but whatever, here he is. Shifter is not banned. I thought at least he was going to get limited, so originally I was going to take one out, throw a called by in there, and call it a day, but we still have Shifters, so while we have them, I mean, let's use them. FLOOWANDEREEZE best Shifter deck. The next card, we're going to get into the draw spells. We have 1 Pot of Prosperity. I was hoping that I knew either Shifter or Prosperity or both might have been hit. I was hoping that we could at least keep 2. We have 1, but guess what? Extravagance is essentially the same thing. You'd think that not being able to dig 6 deep as much, wouldn't be that bad, or would feel bad, but honestly, drawing 2 off of Extravagance, especially in this going second build, feels great. Again, with Flu, I go second, I draw for turn, open I'm drawing 3 cards going second, essentially, and it feels great. And then we have 2 Pot of Duality. You could run 6 pots. I've always run 5, and I never really had any consistency issues. Obviously, losing 2 Prosperities hurts a bit, but Extravagance works just fine. Especially with a lot of 1-ofs, it feels really nice to draw them. As to finish off the spells, I have 1 Kairi, just a 4th Flu Quick Play, essentially, just to dodge hand traps and to extend. It could also help unbrick hands if you have small birds you don't want. And next we're going to have Thrust and all of the Thrust targets. I have 2 Dark Ruler No More, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 1 Change of Heart, 1 Lightning Storm. Now this is all the same as my last deck profile. The one change, except for the pots with the ban list that I have, is I am testing out 1 spell card Soul Exchange. I have had mixed results. This is taking out one of my Evenlies for this card. Before the ban list, it didn't really feel as good unless you really built the deck around it. But if I'm being honest, drawing the 2 off of Extravagance, you draw into big birds a lot more often, so having this in your hand feels a lot better when using Extravagance. Finally, we have 2 evenly matched and 1 Harpy's Feather Storm. Mind the glare. As long as this is legal, we're going to at least play 1 in the main deck. Beautiful QCR. Again, I took 1 evenly out to test this out, but this is kind of interchangeable. I used to play 3 and didn't have this. I mean, you could also take out one of the other 1-ofs, but this is working just fine for me. This is a very fun card when I get to pull it off. Soul Exchange, any big bird and that going second, it breaks your opponent's board and it helps you. It's essentially full Flu combo. For the extra deck, again, we're playing Flu, so extra deck isn't really important. We have Anima, just to suck up some annoying monsters in adjacent zones. We have SP Little Knight. Access Code Talker for the times we can steal an opponent's monster and we can extend with Change of Heart. Then we have some, what is it called? I forget the card's name. I'm going to put it inside or in post because I'm an idiot. But more targets for that card. It got reprinted in the Rarity Collection 2 recently. So just more interactions and extenders. And then, of course, you know, the Zeus line. Or monsters that can help get into Zeus. Downard, Zeus. I have... Oh, let me shift this up a little bit so you can see it. There we go. Always the rank 10 engine, just if I could ever pull it off, it's very fun to attack and burn for game. And then the Typhon is honestly the honorary Floo extra deck monster. This card is crazy going second. But again, we're playing Floo, so we're never really going into our extra deck, at least not very often. Alright, to finish this off, we have the side deck. This is the part of the deck profile that's most different from the last one. I am very confident with the main deck, and honestly, again, I'm probably going to title this, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Change some cards here and there. Obviously, I had to change some cards because of the ban list, but I love the main deck as it is. The side deck, however, I thought was a little bit lackluster. So for the side deck, we have one DD Crow, just something to... it's searchable off of Arbina. We have 2 Dimensional Fissures because Shifter is great, so why not have it on the field at all times? It's also, when going first, 9 times out of 10, your opponents, let's say they have Cosmic Cyclone, they're probably going to want to get rid of this more than the trap that they know is set, just because this is going to be more of an issue. And you know what? If it's great, it stays off the field. It's great if it's interaction bait. Why not? We have 3 Book of Moon. I still think this card's amazing. It's a good defensive card for targeting cards like Veiler and Imperm. And it's also good if your opponent's essentially trying to do half of the extra deck summoning mechanics. Link, XZ, Synchro, it's great. Unfortunately, it doesn't do anything against fusions, but it is what it is. Still think it's a great card. We have 3 Cosmic Cyclones, very important. Even though the Tempai field spell is limited to 1, banishing the one they have is phenomenal. There's, you know, Voiceless Voice, another deck. I feel like the more hits that Snake Eyes gets, which arguably people could say is nowhere near enough, but obviously it's going to get hit more in the future. A lot of Rogue and Tier 2 decks, like Voiceless Voice, for example, which is something I've been kind of messing around with, this destroys Voiceless Voice. This is really good against Tempai, really good against Yubel. It's amazing. Honestly, it shuts off Fiendsmith Desiree. Just targeting the card that it's equipped to, it is phenomenal. I have 1 Herald of the Abyss, just because sometimes towers can be an issue that this deck sometimes can't really get rid of. 3 Imperms, because Imperm's always a great card. And then let me shift it up, I apologize. And then I have a Dimensional Barrier and a Simul Archifiend. Dimensional Barrier is phenomenal. Again, just pick your poison. Any deck that does 1 or 2 main deck mechanics and lock to it. I mean, Branded, Tempai, even Voiceless Voice, if that gets better. Yubel. I mean, Yubel's not as good with Dimensional Barrier, but let's say Tempai 2 can link off. That's why I have Simul Archifiend. If they have up to two different extra deck monsters on the field, they can no longer go into those extra deck monsters. So it's really good for cards that can or decks that can kind of pivot. But I apologize if I have, you know, my foot in my mouth. If there's anything that I'm saying wrong, I'm sure I'll fix in post. And if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Again, I'm sorry that the main deck isn't that different, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I still think Floo is phenomenal. I'm glad that we got away with a slap on the wrist with the 2 Prosperity hits instead of getting rid of Shifter, for example, because Shifter is very important to protect us from hand traps that have to go to the graveyard. But yeah, I still think Floo's great. Floo best deck. Please, Konami, don't notice it too much so we don't get hit on the ban list. But thank you everyone for watching, and this is BeardedSnowlYGO, and have a great one. See ya.